Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Permissive property tax exemption bylaw 2342 for 2020 for adoption.
The clerk's note that the City of Williams Lake Permissive Property Tax Exemption Amendment Bylaw number 2342-2020 be reconsidered and adopted.
So moved. Second.
And this is for the Youth for Christ property that's been sold. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councillor Nelson, I'm assuming if you're opposed, you will, otherwise we'll assume you're okay?
That's correct.
Thank you. Correspondence, minutes of the Central Cariboo Joint Committee meeting held October 28th, 2020.
Clerk's note that the minutes of the Central Cariboo Joint Committee meeting held October 28, 2020 be received.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Change approval for use of lake harvester on specified areas in Williams Lake.
Clerk's note that the letter from the Ministry of Forest, Lands, Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development, Water Management, dated November 9th, 2020, and attached change approval for the City of Williams Lake, file 5003029, authorizing the use of a lake harvester equipment on areas of Williams Lake as specified therein, be received for information.
So moved.
Okay, I have a question of staff, I guess, and when I read through it, because there's some areas that I don't think go to the areas that as far as we need to, and particularly for the floatplains and whatnot, and it says in the deal we have 30 days to appeal, and I went through their website and everything to try and figure out if we do appeal, does it stop the process, or can we just have amendments? If we register an appeal, would we be able to, I don't want to stop it, and I don't want to have it just canceled at this stage of the game. So should we put in a notice of appeal for to change the areas, or should we wait until next year? Who can answer that question?
I can answer. So thanks, Your Worship. The permit, that looks more like a housekeeping error because there's no reason why we wanted to have the weed harvesting done in the aerodrome, and if we don't go quite to the property that has the airplanes, it doesn't really satisfy what we're looking for. So we will have discussions with Flinro, and we'll just ask for them to change that. We don't have to do an appeal or anything like that.
Okay.
We'll change the areas and just work that way.
okay.
And then regardless, we'll work with them next year and say this doesn't suit what we're trying to achieve, and therefore we need to have this go farther. And I don't think it should be an issue.
Okay, and some of the areas on the map, I can't believe by that map that area is only 6 feet or 2 meters deep. I think it's got to be deeper than that, but
Your Worship?
the different shades of blue on the water. So anyway, we'll check that out anyway, and I guess we'll have to prove that.
Yeah, so when we start running the piece of equipment, what we will have to do is, those are just from the maps and from their offices, looking at the contours and stuff like that. When we're actually running the equipment can't go that shallow anyways.
Right.
So we'll be out there with a weighted string, and we'll be measuring the 10-foot depth. And what you see in those drawings, there's an actual shape file that will follow GPS coordinates on the machine. So we'll know when we're getting outside those GPS coordinates and stuff like that. So be able to maneuver. It's there. It's more to avoid that small area where we go in and we start digging up the ground and we disturb the turtles and all that kind of habitat.
Or ruin the machine.
That's right, or ruin the machine. Like, that's right. So we weren't really going to go in those areas anyway. So
Okay.
that was the intent. So
Okay, good.
I do believe Councillor Nelson wanted to say something.
Councillor Nelson.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I appreciate what the ministry has done here, but I think this is really an initial start. We put this application in well over a year ago, I guess, and we applied for the entire lake to be done. The ministry came back and said no, so we applied for half the lake to be done. And what they've given us is a few little catches to munch on here to get started. So in my opinion, I think we take what we've got, but obviously we go back and we look to do the right job, and that's to clean up the entire lake and to ensure that obviously with the plans that we're trying to bring forward with the waterfront development, that we move to clean up that whole end of the lake. That area where and this is really where it got started, was inside that aerodrome, from that floatplane that just about flipped over. So thanks to Gary's tenacity, he went back and said, hold a second, you missed really one of the big pictures inside this box, and that was the safety of floatplanes landing. and getting caught in the weeds. So from my perspective, I think this is a start, but obviously I think that the community has been encouraging us as a council to reinvigorate the lake, make it more cleaner, make it more safer, and make it more usable. And this plan that's in front of us just simply doesn't do it. It doesn't even meet the test of standard litmus test, in my opinion. So I appreciate Gary's comments, and I think we should have a recommendation that we go back after this passes to ask the ministry to expand this to make it obviously much more prominent in terms of where we originally came from. And really, I think Councilman Al has alluded to previously that if there are people in other areas that want to utilize this, like at the other end of the lake, then I think the lake has no bounds. We have to move to ensure that the entire lake is cleaned up and cleaned up properly. Weeds are going to come. It's been a bad year for the last 2 years with the lake going up and down, and it's only getting worse. So I'm very supportive of moving forward on this, but I think we have to make sure that we continue to double down on making sure we clean this lake up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your worship to
CAO,
Councillor.
and then Councillor Bain.
Your worship to Councillor Nelson. So absolutely, Councillor Nelson, they're well aware of where we want to go with this process. We want to be able to do a larger area. So we will use this 2-year term to demonstrate proof of concept as well as proof of our responsibility when dealing with the environmental concerns that they have with the turtles, the sturgeons, and all the other waterfowl that they were concerned about. We'll demonstrate that we're being responsible, and our second permit in 2 years will be putting in the areas of North and South Lakeside as well. They're well aware of our intent, and that's where we'll be going in 2 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I think both Councillor Nelson and CAO Maraka also alluded to things. I was just wanting to know how this is going to go. We already have people asking about being able to get it in front of their yards. Like I think for that financial end, if we can do it as a business or like in the future, be able to do areas based on not only need, but if we want to charge out for the service, if we're allowed, I would really like to see that followed up in other areas of the lake.
I'm assuming they will be the ones that will have to get the permits.
Maybe that's...
Yeah.
Your worship to Councillor Bain, yeah, right now we cannot address any of the property, say, like on the lake, that's not part of our permit. But again, within the 2 years after we demonstrate the proof of concept to know it's not going to be a real invasive piece of equipment that's going to destroy all the habitat, we are going to hopefully be able to, at that time, expand the operations of that equipment to North and South Lakeside properties. But for right now, we will not be able to go in front of those properties with the exception of the float plain area and around there's a little corner peak there closer to Councillor Nelson's. I don't know the exact location, but it's in the map and stuff like that, as well as the boat launches, the beach, and those are the only areas we're permitted to do, and the timeline is only from October 15th to freeze up. And that the rationale behind that is because that is the season for reproducing for the turtles as well as the waterfowl and stuff like that. And that came from their consultations with First Nations as well as biologists and stuff. So, yeah.
Any other discussion then? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Council information package.
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Wow. Okay, COVID update. I haven't sent it out yet. I just got it this afternoon. There's 18 new cases in Interior Health, 193 active and on isolation, and there's 2 in hospital, and one of those is in ICU, but there's nothing in the Caribou yet. As far as hospitalization goes, you saw the article in the Tribune and on Facebook about the Rona last week, but that's they had called me and let me know what it was all about and got it straightened out. So that's it. So, Councillor Nelson, do you want to go first?
Sure. I just want to really go back to this letter that Sandra Jensen from the Assistant Water Manager. If anybody wants to have their property cleaned or the community to move forward, they need to send us a letter and we can forward on to Sandra Jensen because that's what they're asking for. So I think the community is going to be extraordinarily disappointed on behalf of what the government has given us. Well, very little given us to move to clean our lake up. So we encourage anybody that wants more to be done, to send letters to us so we can obviously put those forward to Standard Jetson to expand our boundaries on this.
Thank you. That's it?
Thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Your Worship. I really don't have much on the behalf of council, but I just want to congratulate, we got a refill store called Fulfill Williams Lake. So anybody like myself interested in not having as much waste, it's great. It's in it's in Delaney's, you know, the building. So it's called Fulfill, like it's a refill. So for your dish soaps and it's the decreasing plastics and that. So I'm super excited to see that start up, and I really hope everybody tries to do a little more of that. And also just a reminder that this weekend is the virtual gala for the Caribou Memorial Hospital Trust. So there is a few tables available still if